over here on the side.
I don't know. I can't remember. Hold on one second. Let me get the live Instagram up. What's up, y'all? We're back for another episode of Trial and Error. I'm making sure our Instagram audience is on. All right, Instagram's live.
Can we
All
do
right.
TikTok too? I think we should probably start doing TikTok too.
I gotta get a stream key for TikTok. You gotta earn your stream. You gotta earn access to the stream key. So
Okay,
you gotta show that. Yeah, and so I'm working on that piece of it. When I get back to my live,
Back
I'm
with
doing my
LinkedIn.
I'm doing my live stream on TikTok so that I can eventually earn the stream key for that one.
Okay.
All right, so welcome back, y'all. On today's episode, we're basically talking about let's see. I want to get the title right. The idea is I was the problem, and this is a conversation with ourselves 5 years ago, and basically it's talking about being the bottleneck in your venture, and you know how you sabotage yourself and how we get around it. And so that's kind of what we have. It's a little bit open-ended today, so that's what we have on today's episode. I'm gonna go ahead and roll the intro, and then we'll get into the conversation.
All righty.
All right, Fearless, why don't you start this time? Introduce yourself, and while I pull up my new introduction here.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's cool. Fearless Cummings here. I am the owner and facilitator and Lord of the universe. Just want to make sure that you guys knew that. If you have any queries about your life or lifestyle or your choices, I am the person that you go and see. I am the person that you submit a claim to. You may go to Ask Fearless, or I'm even working on a pseudo name of Call Fearless. Yes, you may. That's kind of what we got going on right now.
All right.
I took a pill yesterday, and it's still stuck right here in my throat. Like it is moved up, and it won't go down, it won't come up. I've thrown up like 3 times trying to get this thing out of my throat. Yikes. I assure you I won't take any more of them. Okay. I give 2 fucks.
All right, so I'm Brian. I'm the founder of my marketing agency called I Sell Words. It's kind of a DIY marketing agency, so we want to give you the tools that you need to market your own business, or if you're a young marketer looking to get started, we have templates and things for you to get started with. That's called the Unstuck Marketing Department. I'm actually building it out as we speak. I have a couple of content packs out there. Basically, it's plug and play stuff that you can use to write emails, write social media posts, and things along those lines. The piece I'm working on this week, and I'm building those out, are going to be content calendars for different agents or different industries. Okay. And so I have those available on my Gumroad store. I'll go ahead and drop that in the comments here pretty soon. But anyway, that's what I do. My goal is to teach you the basics of marketing and get you started. And then when you're ready to hire somebody or outsource it, you have a toolkit to understand exactly how to monitor or supervise them. So
that's it. That's it. But real quick though, Brian, I was just notified of something. Breaking news. Let's see if it comes up. I don't know if it's going to come up or not. Breaking news. Do you see the breaking news there?
Yeah.
We got some breaking news. I want to ask you a question, kind sir. At what galaxy are you from? What dimension do you hail from, kind sir?
I think the Milky Way. From the Sol, we're in the solar system, and the solar system of the Milky Way, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess that may be. I am from a different dimension. I move differently. I talk differently. I behave differently. No, I'm just joking. So I've been on that one kick for man. What's my guy's name? Charles Doza, the guy that was like the succulent Chinese meal.
Oh, him. The
Yeah,
yeah, that guy
let
got
me
arrested.
tell you, man, that dude said, "Get your hand off my penis." Oh my god, I love it, man. I can't go to bed at night when I'm watching it.
Yeah, I saw
His
that when
name
that
is
came out.
yeah, his name is Charles Doza, and he has recently passed. Or whatever. And I say, here, kind sir, here. All right,
So
the breaking news is over. Please
so
like and subscribe.
so as we move on here, I'm gonna pull up the comments. Hopefully, we should be able to see some of the Facebook comments. Did you get those instructions I sent you on how to get the?
Not at all. What instructions?
I sent some last week over to the personal chat.
Oh,
There's
no,
this.
that's probably why then.
You have to actually, in order to get the Facebook comments, you have to actually go. I'll send them over to you, man. There's a complicated step that you got to take, but this is how you actually get the comments from Facebook back onto the stream. And so I did it on mine, where it shows our stream public, because beforehand that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, I wasn't doing that either. Right. Okay, so what do we do?
Hold please. So on Facebook specifically, I'm gonna just send it. So okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna go into my Facebook. Boom.
well, I'm gonna send
Okay,
it to.
I'm there.
I gotta send you the link. It's easier for you to actually see the visuals on the link than to me try to explain everything that you need to do it. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna go ahead and send them
Yeah.
over to the chat here so that you can kind of see what it is. But also, if you go, to be honest with you, if you go up to comments and where it says learn more, just click on that and it'll take you to the link. So anyway, well, I'm saying all that to say this: for our Facebook audience, I can see the comments on my stuff. I don't know if Fearless is going to be able to see comments on his stuff. StreamYard doesn't change a couple of settings, and so those don't pull over as easily. And so we're not ignoring you on Facebook. We may not see your comments if we're being, and that's just real.
Well, I mean, if they're on mine, I could see because I just pulled up a separate. I just pulled up the separate thing or whatever. Tab. So if somebody said something on me, I can just pull that right up or whatever. So yeah.
And I should be able to see. I should be able to see them on mine. But I'm just letting you guys know that may or may not be the case, y'all. You know how that goes.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times it happens when you're working with third-party platforms. You got some things that work, some things that don't work, and so that's just that's live TV. So anyway, let's get into let's start talking about our topic here. A lot of times the concept behind trial and error is this: we embrace the error part of the trial, because a lot of times the error is the thing that informs your next shot. It informs your next trial. And so we're not afraid to discuss times where we might have made a mistake. So,
oh wow, your thing went to hell, bro. Hey, sir, I think your thing went out.
It did.
Either yours did or mine did. Like, good God, you were glitching.
Internet's messed up.
Okay.
Let me see. So let me try something here, Fearless. Sorry, y'all, my internet's not the greatest right now. It's kind of shaky, and so I'm trying to work around that piece of it. So I'm gonna switch. Okay. I'm gonna switch networks here. Let's see if that works.
Okay.
All right, let's see if that works. Sorry if I'm glitching out. My internet's a little bit shaky. It's been kind of destabilized since them folks came through laying down the fiber optic stuff. So what I was saying is, with the Trial and Error podcast, we embrace the error side of things, and we believe that messing up is part of your pathway to learning and how to get better.
Correct.
And so we throw our arms around that. And so in order to fully embrace it, we want to talk about sometimes that we might have been the bottleneck or problem in a venture that we were trying out. And it's basically a conversation with ourselves 5 years ago. I heard a young lady on some YouTube I was listening to this morning talking about your audience is yourself 5 years ago. And so
Mm,
that's kind of who we're focusing on, is who we were 5 years ago, if that
right.
makes sense. So
It
forgive me
does.
if we have internet issues. It's on my end. There's not a ton I can do about it right now. So we'll see what happens.
So what happened? So they're doing what now?
What do you mean?
They put in fiber optic.
Yeah, they put it's the fiber optic stuff, and it's been weird since then. And so it's
Okay,
been kind of hit or miss on the live stream, where normally I have pretty stable internet. It hasn't been stable the last couple of weeks.
gotcha.
So we'll see what happens.
All right,
Uh,
yeah.
just
Let's
keep me
shoot.
posted. Let me know if something goes sideways. So,
Okay, I got you.
so here's the thing. A lot of times when we're starting out on a venture, and especially if you're bringing in your own crap, your own shit to it, right? Like you have your own things that are going on in your own head. Sometimes you can end up self-sabotaging yourself. And sometimes a lot of times it's inadvertent, you know. 5 years ago, let's frame it. 5 years ago, we were in the entry point, or the kind of the middle of the pandemic, right? I think. Yes, true. 25, 20. And so where I was I was trying to figure out what we were going to do for CMA, since we didn't have any public places that we could train. And we kind of mastered that. We figured that. We pivoted into that. And at the time, I was really trying to build some kind of brand on YouTube. And I had so many different false starts that I almost believe I ended up sabotaging the algorithm against myself. Because I was all over the place in terms of what I was trying to talk about. And I had the knowledge to help people, but I wasn't confident in my knowledge at all. And so a lot of times when I would tell something, I'd always hedge with, but it may not work for you, or your mileage may vary and stuff. And I feel like I was kind of setting it against myself, if that makes sense. I was setting the expectations against myself. That makes sense, Fearless? And I realized that kind of diminished a little bit of my expertise in people's eyes, when I was always hedging and saying, this might work, this might not work for you, knowing it worked for me, and knowing if they followed the same steps, it probably worked for them as well. Okay.
I mean, right, but I disagree with that. I think that that's just being transparent, because what works for you may not necessarily work for them.
No, I'm talking about I'm not talking about existential things. I'm talking about, if you click this and do this and do this, this thing will happen on your computer screen.
Okay, so you're talking about more like a scientific double peer study, like whatever results I get, you're gonna get the same exact ones if you do the same exact thing that I did.
Right, like
got you. Okay, I got you.
Downselling downselling what I knew about making an ad on Facebook. I knew the structural side of it. Now, the words and all the other stuff that comes along with creating a high converting ad, yeah, your mileage may vary on that one. But the type in this field and click here, I knew that stuff, and I knew it pretty cold. But I would always downsell it. And I realized that hindsight being 2020, I'm basically downselling my expertise, if that makes sense. Where I was hedging to protect myself in case they messed up on the pathway. Does that make sense? Like, if they're like, I tried this and didn't work, I'm trying to insulate, well, your mileage may vary, as opposed to holding them accountable. Like, no, man, you need to click here, click here, click here, and click here.
Right. Okay.
And I realized that really affected a lot of different things that I did, in terms of structural, technical things. This is how you set up a light. This is how you rig up your camera. I was downselling a lot of my expertise by doing that little weird hedge thing that I would throw in there. And a lot of times it was protection of myself. And a lot of times it was because, we talked about imposter syndrome. I was struggling with that really bad. And, especially with 2020, especially with everything being topsy-turvy, I feel like part of me missed a fantastic opportunity, because a lot of people kind of really dug in and went 100% in on their businesses, on their online stuff during that time, because they didn't have anything else to do. And I was getting decent responses, but I was downselling that, and You know, like even my best performing videos were videos that I shot during that time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where
I didn't shoot nothing during that time.
but
I was, yeah, no.
But it was, you know, the self-sabotage, you know, I would tell myself, watch out for the ways the subtle ways that you sabotage yourself.
Okay.
How about you? I'm gonna expand on this a little
And,
bit
and,
more.
and again, you're talking about 5 years
Yeah.
ago. So again, we're talking about, again, like you said before, this would have been in COVID or
Yep.
during COVID. Um, I can't say the same thing, man. I can't say that. During this time in COVID, I was buying my dream motorcycle. I was chilling out, reading a lot. I mean, dude, I don't know if I would have told myself anything other than what I do anyway. You know what I mean? Like I always put money away. That was just something that I just did from being homeless or whatever. So, you know, you do what works from there. So you don't have to go back to that. Um yeah, dude, like I really can't. I don't know. I mean, again, that's what I'm saying for myself. Now, for me, I would have to probably go back a little further.
Okay, go back
I don't
and
think I'd be able to go back to 5 years because 5 years I was doing great.
so I would
Um,
jump back as far as you need to where you like, okay, I probably could use my own guidance. Like I have advice for
okay,
myself and these are
yeah,
the
for
mistakes I
sure.
made.
Okay, so sure. So then I would have to go back. What was that? 5 years, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'd have to probably go back. So my son he's about to be. So yeah, I'd have to probably go back 10 years.
Okay.
I'd have to go back 10. I wouldn't be able to go back 5 because that's too close. And then once I had that mind switch within myself, something clicked on, and then that was it for me. Um, yeah, yep, nope. Once I got that mind click and that thing just clicked, that light switch flew on, and that was it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I just what would I tell myself? All those videos that I shot back in the day, I would tell myself, I would have told myself to keep going.
Okay.
I would have told myself to start hitting, just going live with shit. I would have told myself to um uh beg, borrow, plead, to find a mentor. You know what I'm saying? That can actually show you the ropes. I would have done that. Um you know what I'm saying? Again, I mean, hindsight being what it is, whatever. But that's sorry about that.
All right.
That's literally what I did. That's what I would have done in general, bro. Like I don't really know what else I would have, done um in that regard, honestly.
I think if I would have gone back, and we can go back for as far as we need to, I think a lot of it has to do with going back and getting started early on this journey with
Yes,
with
yes,
cameras and stuff like that.
yes. And I did just use my phone, man.
Yep.
Because I was always thinking, like, man, I need a camera, I need a microphone, I need this, I need that. Man, go get a fucking tripod and just get it cracking.
You know,
You know
and
what I'm saying? Like that's it, bro.
because
That's it.
because I was even watching this thing where they interviewed the CEO of YouTube. And he's talking about, you know, dispelling, you know, rumors that are floating around in the content creator space and whatnot. And the way he framed it is every YouTuber is an entrepreneur and you can get creative with monetizing your thing. And instead of trying to beat the algorithm, you just need to identify who your audience is and serve that audience. Instead of trying to game the algorithm, because there's going to be very few people that have the ability or the juice to move the algorithm in a specific place on the platform. And you're never going to be able to catch up to them. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times they've really established either their own methodology of doing things, like where you have a Casey Neistat where he has his own very specific way of shooting his stuff. And it's almost like a filmmaker that does action sports, except that, I mean, because that's what he is, but that also informs the way that he does his transitions and stuff like that, even the way he frames a lot of his videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your Mr. Beast, who has come out and said, my job isn't to make good videos, my job is to make good YouTube videos. And so he has an entire framework and method for making YouTube videos that work for him and serve his purposes. And so you know, the CEO of YouTube basically said, stop trying to game the system and stop trying to show up as other people.
And show up as you. Yeah. You know what, man? And that's you know what? I think another thing too, man, is that from a coaching standpoint, like I'm titling back and forth with this because, dude, like as you know, like I was just bragging about reading a book a day for 4 days. And again, this isn't something new for me. Like it's something I've been doing since my early 20s or whatever. But like I love to read. That is my fun place, right? And but I also love helping people I love helping people transition from one point in their lives to the other. Right. Like that is my favorite thing to do. It's helping them come to terms with with where they are in that what is the word I'm looking for? The journey of the you being the hero of your own journey, and helping people kind of come to terms of where they are in that journey, and helping them kind of move to the next stage, the next level, and so on and so forth. And so I love that. That's what my certifications are in, and this and the other. But sitting down, being able to read some good stuff. Oh my God! And I saw this lady, Bev Mohan, was her Mohani or something like that, Mohani or something like that. And it's an Auntie Bev. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Older black lady, and she gives like a word of the day and this and the other, and they're really obscure, like this kind of random words, but they're words for the most part that we don't use anymore. That's not colloquially utilized and stuff like that or whatever. And I love words. I'm a word nerd.
Okay.
And so I could sit and watch that shit. I was reading a book, and then I stopped reading that one and started reading this other one. And I'm just writing down all these words that she's talking about or whatever. And I'm like, you know what, dude? If I could have went back and done this, and then the thing just popped into my head is like, what do you mean if you could have went back and did it? Do it now.
Right.
Who's to say you can do that now? So I'm like, oh shit, you know what? So no, I'll just start doing, because even before I was doing book reviews and stuff like that, but I wasn't doing a video of them. I was just doing like, hey, you know, here's a really cool book. This is how many stars I gave it. It took me a day or so to read this. This is what it's about. It's a really good book. But instead of like writing it up, like, dude, do a video on it. So I'm like, you know, so I was talking to a friend of mine who's a published author and has papers and stuff that people are citing and this and the other. She's like, dude, like I would love to support or follow anything that you have going on like that, man. So that's kind of the objective.
Okay.
And it's not switching, it's just adding to what I already love in general, which is perspective or whatever. And the thing that I understand about that transitional period in words is that when you open up your lexicon, it opens up a whole entire world for you, because we store our experiences, our hopes, our wants and dreams in our language. That's where you put it. So the more words you have, the more places you can put it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the great thing that I love so much about reading and words and phrases and different things, because it allows you to think. It makes you think.
Right.
And that's all perspective really is at the end of the day. It's about not what you're looking at, but how you're looking at it. Um, one of the words that the lady was talking about was, and a word I've never heard before, was trumpery. The word trumpery means showy but worthless. And now you would think that this word came out with Trump. No, this word existed far way before your boy even came along.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it right now. Um, and again, like it means worthy. It means worthless, nonsense, trivial, useless article. So it's a word that's actually been around for quite some time. And hold on one second. Let me see if it tells us exactly where this word comes out of. Um, let me see. So synonyms for it is nonsense, nuts, stupidity, garbage, silliness, drool, rubbish, blah. That's the synonyms for this word. So it derives from the Middle English trumpery, and ultimately from the Middle French trumper, meaning to deceive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, French phrase trompe, trompe, literally deceiver, the eye. So it's saying that it first appeared in the mid 15th century, right? Deceit or fraud, in less than 100 years, it being applied to later objects, and then to little or no value. So that word, we first heard of that word during the 1400s. So again, if somebody's like, you know what I'm saying, man, y'all over there hating on this dude. No, this word's been around for centuries now, or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, the irony of where we are today and everything going on just kind of it's just kind of out there, man. So yeah, I mean, but again, though, it's just one of those things that, again, I love to read. Period. So I wish that I would have probably taken this route, even if I didn't take the coaching route.
Mm-hmm.
Take this route and talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if I look at like, I designed this shirt that I have on. Like, this is not an actual shirt you can go buy or whatever. It's a shirt that I designed myself. I had a guy create it or put it on the shirt, and I took it in and had him blast it out, right? But this is a real shirt. I mean, bro, I love Nike. I love reading. Boom, why not put those two things together, whatever. So again, but I love to read because of perspective. You know what I'm saying? Fiction, nonfiction, business, philosophy, theology, you name it. I love to read it. Anything from anthropology through zoology. I'm trying to get into all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Or xenology, if you will. So again, if I can go back that many years, that's what I would have said to myself. I'd been like, that book that you just read, tell me a little bit about it. Would you read this again? What would you score that?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so because again, you can sit and talk to people about where they are in their lives and this and the other, and that's cool. That's what's up. But some motherfuckers, man, unfortunately, they don't want to accept where they are. They again, think about it. Why do people get online so much? Because they want to escape their reality. They want to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but at
Yeah.
the same time, though, that's also, I mean, I'm kind of going on this tangent, but I think that's also the same reason why some of these same people do not go and get the help that they're looking for and go find mentors to help them go from point A to point B to transition from where I am to where I'm trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, bro, like you are an amazing. Okay, cool. Thank you. You are an amazing coach when in your own right. Like, you're really good at what you do. I'm amazing at what I do, but I also understand where my cap is, and recently yesterday, I contacted another lady who has who makes so much money on all these different channels that it's unreal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a meeting with her. What is today? Today is what, Tuesday? I have a meeting with her on Thursday or whatever, and so I can pay for her coaching, so I can figure out, okay, where am I, and from what she's been doing, and then coach me on where I am, so then I can start kind of going from there. And then whatever she tells me, I get to tell you for free. And then that's how we build everything up. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
again, I pay for this or whatever, so you and I can consistently keep benefiting from the trial and error of somebody else who's
Okay.
actually there right now, who's I mean, this woman is traveling constantly or whatever, right? And but I like this lady because of her transportness, not number one, and her transparency with everything. That woman was like, man, I was on food stamps and and housing and all kind of she was receiving aid for quite some time, right? So she goes to the casino. She just shot a video not too long ago. Just Jazzy is her name, and she just shot a video. She's like, man, I went to the casino. I really never go there. I sat down. She said I hit the full max instead of hitting like the dollar thing or whatever. So the thing comes back saying I won like $20,000. Yeah, there's a bunch of people coming over, this, that, and the other. This thing is going nuts, whatever, whatever, right? So they take her in the back, you know. So she's like, dude, I want to go. I want my money so I can leave. She gives the people the ticket. They take the
Mhm.
ticket. She gives it. The ticket lady gives it to the manager. They're looking at each other. They come back and they basically had to break her of the bad news of this is actually how much you made, and it wasn't $20,000. She walked away with $1,400, and she's like, okay, how is this even possible? Well,
Mhm.
the state, the government, they will collect their money back. They will. So
Mhm.
what happened was, because she took government assistance, which is so funny because their taxpaying dollars was already paying for that. They went ahead and took that money. And I do remember reading about this somewhere, that if you owe, like if when you pass, if you owe any money to Medicaid, this and the other, whatever your thing is, they will take that and deduct it from there and then give your family whatever's left. So again, even if you have an insurance claim, you better put that motherfucker in a trust or something. Because if you put it in like a cash check, they get first dibs on all the shit you owe or whatever. And that's what happened to her. They ran her name. They came back. Oh, she took government assistance, and this is how much it was. So we'll go ahead and deduct that and give her the rest. I'm like, wow. She said, I will never go back to that. I will never go to another casino again. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
again, so some of us, we get into these situations, bro, where we don't realize that when you ask for help, they not helping out of the kindness of their heart. They are going to get their money back one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? Like one way or the other. So again, I mean, you like I said, and again, but those are it's stories like that really make you kind of be like, hmm, okay, cool. So that means I need to move a little differently in general, right?
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So I mean, that like I said, man. I mean, I don't know if this is always. I don't know if this stuff is always, or I don't know if this is for everybody consistently. But again, for me, I love a good story. I love a good perspective, and I think that that's why I read as much as I do, because my objective is to expand my horizon. Because you know what I'm saying. Once you expand your thinking, it can't go back to the way that it was. It will forever stay that way. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Mhm.
once you know something, you can't unknow that.
Right.
you know. And I think that that's the biggest thing that you have have. I think that that's kind of what the theme of what we're talking about today is. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you know now that you would have told yourself 5, 10 years ago?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's that hindsight being what it is. Would you still go through with what you've done today? So I guess for you, let me double back and ask you, with the information that you have right now, would you tell yourself this information 5 years ago? Or would you, like you see what I'm saying? Like, cause like for me, I don't think that I don't think I would have told myself anything because I wouldn't have gone through all the shit that I needed to go through in order to get to this point. I think I would have told myself that everything's gonna be okay. You'll be okay. But I don't think I would have given myself any tools, tips, and strategies to do it.
I would have actually absolutely done that. I would have told myself, because a lot of it was where I was trying to find my entry point, and a lot of it had to do with, it wasn't the fact that I didn't know where to start. It was the fact that not continuing, like
Yeah,
starting and stopping,
yeah,
and locking in, because 5 years ago, I was still doing my podcast about comic books and Black fatherhood and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not finding an audience, or at least I didn't think I was, because I didn't see all the audiences I was actually reaching. And so when I
mm,
go back and look at some of even the old episodes, I see people commenting, and I wasn't able to see those comments. So I wasn't able to get the feedback. And so I just kind of gave up on stuff. Like, there are so many different things that I actually have competency in, that at the time, since I didn't immediately get that response or get the feedback, I'm like, this ain't going anywhere. I must be doing something wrong. And so, yeah, I would say, here are the things that were working, and this is what you need to stick with. And say,
okay,
just say, there is no rule that you're, because I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I'm like, maybe my approach is wrong. Maybe I'm not doing this the right way. And that ended up turning into inaction, because I'm like, I started digging in, trying to find the right way to execute X, Y, and Z, as opposed to just going out and executing and going out and doing
okay,
it
yep,
consistently. So I actually would have those conversations, because what I'm looking at, and even further than 5 years back, but when I look at some of the stuff I've been in, I was like, right as soon as I was getting on the edge of where it was about to take off, because a lot of times when you're learning something, you get, even if you get good feedback at the beginning, like, this thing is working, kind of, um, right before you hit the next level, something happens, something breaks, something slows down. And a lot of times I would get to that point where I'm like, oh, well, this isn't working, or, oh, that's the edge of what I know. Instead of bearing through it, I would just stop and try a different approach, when I could have just stayed with the same approach. I'm hoping that makes sense. But that would be the conversation I would have. It's like, there's like, I can list 4 or 5 different things that I had early success with. I hit a roadblock and said, oh, I must be doing this wrong. And then I stopped. And then when I go back and look at comment sections, or look at how people reacted, or people responding to it, people were responding to some of this stuff. All I had to do was
right,
stay consistent with it, and not think, oh, well, my approach must be wrong. I must be doing something wrong. I need to go back and learn more instead of
right,
just getting the experience, just getting the experience by actually doing it, and doing it wrong or doing it
yeah,
right. You see what I'm saying? And so those are the conversations I would have with myself, because a lot of it turned into this weird self-sabotage, where I'd have early success, and then when I get it wrong, I would think, oh, I must be, Brian, you're doing something wrong, as opposed to, things go wrong all the time with this stuff. You just got to adjust and power through it.
right,
And so that was my self-sabotage.
mm,
Um, because I would do that, and then I would say, well, I need to learn procrastination game, because I was more comfortable with learning than doing. And so I procrastinate by like, I must need to, if this didn't go right, I must need to learn more about it, as opposed to I just need more reps.
Gotcha.
And since I didn't get the feedback immediately, or didn't get it where I could see it because of feedback kit, I didn't know where, like specifically I could think of with my podcast, I was looking in the wrong comment section. I was looking at the wrong analytics, because on one channel was really doing well, but I wasn't looking at the analytics on that channel. I was looking at on the analytics of a channel that wasn't doing too well. And so instantly that was kind of like this people pleasing thing, because I'm like, well, if people aren't responding to it, I must be doing something wrong. No, I just might be looking in the wrong place. Or even another layer to it is I was seeking additional validation outside of myself. And knowing I was comfortable putting it out there, I ended up getting. So that's kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Okay, you cut out again. Yep, still cutting out. All right, I can hear you better now.
This whole thing is snake bit. All right, this whole thing is snake bit.
Snake bit. What does that mean?
Yes, it means it's bitten by a snake and the venom is taking root.
Snake bit. I ain't never.
I'm gonna try one thing to change my connection here, Fearless.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Do your thing. I'll take over. I'll just start talking.
Yep. Okay.
I got 101 episodes of practice.
Okay.
So yeah, so one of the things that Brian was talking about was, oh, perfect. Okay. So one of the things that Brian was talking about is that, you know, when we're trying to start something up and you have no idea what's working and what's not, we depending on where you are in your journey, especially if you're just starting, man, it sucks. And it's really scary because you honestly think and believe that nothing's working. You honestly think and believe that nobody's showing up. And here's the thing. The one thing that I've learned is that even if people don't show up, you got to keep showing up. But man, that's easier said than done though. Because a lot of us are always talking about, man, such and such didn't show up for me. This, that, and the other. Whatever. And I mean, and I know that that's kind of heart-wrenching sometimes. I truly know that it is. But dude, you still got to keep showing up. And in a lot of cases, we don't. Right? And, you know, here's the thing about that. And I wrote this down a few days ago. Let me see if I still have it on here. Maybe I didn't. But I narrowed it down to three different things, right? And it's kind of like the 3 C's or whatever. So hold on one second. Let me write this down, because otherwise I'm gonna be all over the place. So the first thing is, okay, so we got that part. Okay, then the second thing, that's the part that I'm actually forgetting. But the third is, okay. So the other one is, what is that? I'm just letting my mind. What is that compliment? I don't know. Anyway, so the very first thing that we love in America is that we love a person full of conviction. Conviction of that as that type of person that they're gonna keep riding no matter what. Like those are the people that they don't play by the same rules that everybody else plays by. Like it's kind of like they have their own secret to what they're gonna go do. Right? It's like if you're watching the movie Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite movies, when Red meets Andy Dufresne, and Andy's just walking around, he's in prison and he's walking around like, you know, like, and whatever, picking up rocks and just looking around and just doing his own little thing or whatever. That is a person of conviction. He was convicted, but that's a thing of conviction, right?But those are the Steve Jobs. Those are the Bill Gates. Those are the Warren Buffett. So those are the individuals, the Zuckerbergs. Those are the people that you see in life that don't seem to be playing by the same rules everybody else is playing by, because they said fuck it and they start playing by their own rules. They start just kind of doing their own little thing. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But here's the thing: if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter because they still did it. So whatever's going to work is going to work, whether it works or not. If that makes any sense. The second thing is that we and Brian, real fast, what I was doing here is I was talking about the thing, complacency. The second thing is complacency. We become very stuck, and this is one of the things that Brian and I kind of help people with that being stuck, doubting, waiting, that kickstart the motion, the breaking fear, the building momentum or lack thereof, right? So we'll want to do something, but then something or someone else will talk us out of doing it, but we still hold on to the idea of doing it, and the idea seems to be more grandiose, if you will, than the actual action plan to go out and go do it. And the third type of person is willing to compromise. Another word for compromisation is surrender. And that's where a lot of us are, between compromisation and complacency. There's not a lot of people with that drive. There's not a lot of people that are full of conviction. And what Brian was just talking about was that where he was in that thing of compromise and complacency. And because he hadn't reached that conviction yet, that, man, people are going to show up eventually. You know, when I was doing my 101 episodes, Brian had to tell me on multiple occasions, no. You looking at this all wrong, champ. You're actually doing really good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, when I was comparing my videos to my friends, and he's like, yeah, but y'all talking about two totally different things. Y'all not talking about the same thing. So you guys' audience is not going to be the same.
Right.
Somebody who's doing educational pieces and somebody who's there to entertain you they're gonna get two totally different type of people showing up to their lives every single night, or their videos in general, period. You know, so for something that I'm downsizing, yeah, I'm like, man, this ain't it's good, but it's not. He's like, no, this is amazing. People are not going live for 100 days straight for an hour and a half live, talking about something brand new every night that you created out of damn near thin air. Dude, people ain't just doing that. The algorithms don't know what to do with you, because this doesn't happen. Like, when I was reading, doing my own research, I saw that the average YouTuber does 1 to 2 videos every 7 to 14 days. And those are all pre-recorded. Those things aren't live. And if they do go live, that's like once, maybe twice a month.
Right.
Maybe twice a month. To a very small particular of people. So what I thought that I was doing was just normal. Somebody else had to pull my coattails and be like, no, there's nothing normal about this. Bro, the reason why people aren't showing up because you're in a league of your own. This is different. Right? And so once he told me that, then I started to see things. Instead of deja vu, it became vujade. Okay, deja vu is when I'm like, man, I've been here before. Vujade is I've been here before, but I see things differently now. Go ahead, man.
And that kind of goes into it, because I realized when I come into it, I was coming in with a lot of internalized garbage in my brain. Like, I was coming off of a major career transition, the death of a parent, and a lot of other stuff. And I was still kind of in that grieving process. And so that colored the way I perceive things, specifically. And I think that made it even harder when I wasn't getting those initial. And so that's why I learned, hey, you got to stay consistent on it. Like a couple days ago, I posted, hey, I just got my first check from Facebook. Like, I just got paid my first check. Well, actually my second check from Facebook.
How much was it?
It was about like $10. But
hey, $10 is still $10.
I got my first remittance because the way they send it is you have a remittance from Facebook and blah, blah, blah. And I got my first check from them. And I'm realizing it comes from all the stuff I have been posting consistently to my platforms. And, 5 years ago, I'm sitting there like, how do I just want to get 1 penny. And I got my first check from them. And it came from the fact that I had to let go of some ego stuff. And just lean into the fact that show up how you show up. And so when I tell Fearless that, I'm telling him from a perspective of where I actually was. And so that's why we do the trial and error thing, because a lot of times we look at ourselves when we don't know something and look ourselves like, yeah, I was down and I was out and all this other stuff. We don't look at it as a position of power. Like, yeah, I didn't know and I learned and now I'm better. We look at it as a negative thing, as opposed to a positive thing. Like I started putting things together and learned. Right. And so a lot of times when I look back on myself, I'm like, yeah, man, I wish if I'd known this, it would have been like a superpower, but it was also important for me to know, for me to experience this too. So it's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
But it also me struggling with a lot of this social media stuff. Here's the thing, because I was able to create outcomes for my clients. It just wasn't I wasn't able to do the same for myself a lot of times. Like I was able to create great outcomes for my clients, but not for myself as much. And I learned, sometimes it is being too close to it. Sometimes it is putting too much of your personal emotions into the thing.
Okay.
And so, I beat myself up for that. Like I was going through a lot of different things, and especially when I first started, starting out as a copywriter. I remember one very real conversation. One very real conversation. Yes, the conversation actually happened. I was in a networking group when I started out, right? And I was getting my toes wet in the networking group. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, I'm a copywriter. And for those that don't know, copywriters are people who write words that sell. We write ads, we write websites. I've written books for people, instruction manuals, whatever it is. If it's something that you use to promote or sell a product, I can write it. Okay. And that's what I started out was, very narrow focus copywriter. And I was sitting there and I'm talking to a lady, and I don't know what, I think she was kind of with the design company or something along those lines. And so I'm like, oh, well, she's been doing this for years. So she has this insider knowledge that I don't have. So I just need to listen. And we talked about it. When you encounter a master, sometimes you just listen, right? Like, that's the best bet. The thing she told me was, and this really colored my journey when I think about it. The thing she told me was, I don't see any copywriters. I didn't even know y'all existed. I don't know anybody that pays for that.
Oh, wait. Who told you this?
This is somebody I met. I'm not going to put names out there, but this is somebody I met early on in the journey. And I looked at her like, oh, wow. So a person who's person that's been in it is sitting there telling me what I come to find out was completely false. She was telling me instead of saying from my experience, it was nobody uses copywriters. And then,
oh, wow.
Instantly, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? How am I throwing my life away? You get where I'm going with this, right? I got to change.
Dude, yes. So you internalized what she was talking about
immediately, because this was within, a year of me starting on this journey.
Right.
And she told me everything that I had been studying, everything that I had known how to do was BS. And I needed to do something else in marketing because nobody would pay for that service. Not in my experience. Okay. So it wasn't she didn't frame it as in my experience, I don't know this. It was, ain't nobody paying for this. And since I was new, I didn't know any better. And I'm like, man, is this a pipe dream? What am I doing? Oh my God. How am I ruining my life? What am I putting my family through? Because I'm doing something that I'm rolling a service that nobody pays for. Hit me like a ton of bricks. And immediately I got to diversify. Like I got to learn how to do other things. Hindsight being 2020, I would have gone back to myself and said, hey, don't listen to her. Because there are people that are $1 million copywriters. And that's all they do is just write ads and write words that sell for people. Focus on this thing and get super proficient at it. And eventually I did get proficient at copywriting, but I always bundled it with other things because I didn't know people would pay specifically for that until I actually got around some other marketing people who run marketing agencies who are talking about hiring copywriters. And yeah, I want to hire, I'm looking for a copywriter. I'm looking for somebody that can write ads. And by then I'd already had all these services listed on my site. And so it's kind of, I felt like it was too late to walk it back. But every once in a while, I still do look at, do I just want, if I want to do client facing work, if I ever do client facing work, I just want to go back to writing ads. I just want to go back to writing stuff. But that conversation early on, that rocked me. And it wasn't in a positive way. It was talking to somebody that I perceived as this expert. It was talking to somebody that I perceived as this expert with this insider knowledge early on. And it made me question everything because I didn't have the depth of experience to know that this person was talking just from their narrow, limited experience with things.
Right.
Because they were on the graphic side of things. They were on the graphics like we create the graphics and visuals for the ad campaign, not I am the person creating the ad campaign and I hire the copywriter and I hire the graphics person. That makes sense.
Right. I mean, instead of, and again, and even with that though, like, unfortunately, like, you don't really know what to say or what not to, or this and the other, because it's literally one of those things like you start thinking like, well, damn, but instead of asking, who do you think sells your stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and because usually that would be like the follow-up question to something like that or whatever is, well, I've never heard of you guys, blah, blah, blah. Like, what? Who do you think sells your stuff? I mean, how? And even the question is, how would you get me to buy your stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And at the time, I wish I had the knowledge to actually say that. Like, I wish I had the insider knowledge to say, yeah, marketing agencies they pay a designer and then they pay the copywriter to write the words. Like those are two different. So maybe you've never interacted with one of us because you haven't been on that side of the game. Right. But adding my services to what you're doing will help you be a little bit more robust. Like I could have flipped it, but like I said, man, that wounded me really early on. And it kind of shattered a lot of beliefs. I hate to say it shattered beliefs because it didn't necessarily shatter the beliefs because what she said wasn't correct. It was incorrect. But at the time, I didn't know it was, at the time I didn't know it was incorrect. And I followed that and I started saying, oh, I got to add all these different services. I got to add on all this other stuff to what my offering, because nobody's just going to buy somebody that writes ads for people. Well, that's not true.
No.
And so, yeah. And so that piece really hit me. And so I think I would go back to, catch myself and say, wait a minute, Brian, I met people that doing copywriting. You're going to get paid doing this. And you don't have to offer anything else. You're going to get hired and paid for your writing.
Right.
Don't feel like you have to scramble and add on a bunch of other things, because all you're doing is you're lengthening the journey to be really proficient as a copywriter by adding on a bunch of extemporaneous stuff that you don't necessarily need. Don't feel like you have to learn web design.
Right.
It was something I played around with.
Yeah, it's like if you want to learn it, do you? But I mean, if you feel like you have to, in order for people to take you seriously, I mean, I know how to design websites, or whatever. But what the fuck does that have to do with reading and coaching people? Like, well, I guess it does, or whatever, but not to that degree. Like, I know how to build some shit. I don't like know what it's called to do it. I just put it together and do it. You funny as hell.
I hate to, and see, here's the thing, man. I hate to label it as traumatic, because traumatic feels like something that's supposed to be jarring or whatnot. But trauma, and I read this somewhere. Trauma, they say, is just something that your brain can't digest. It's just
Mm.
indigestion for your brain. And that was something for years. And it's still, to this day. But it was a little bit of something that my brain could not digest. And I struggled with it for a couple of years because I'm like, this thing that I had decided I was going to stake my future on is not a real thing when it actually was. So that's kind of where it was. So that would be a piece of advice. Like, don't advice early on is don't listen to too many other people's advice, because people don't know copywriters exist, but it's because copywriters are, they don't know they need one until they need one.
I got you.
So yeah, because that's where I Sell Words came from. I Sell Words was a copywriter. I'll write your website, I'll write your ad, I'll write your book, I'll write your instruction manual.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, you giving happy endings too? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, good God.
I could do all that stuff, and I've done it. I've gotten paid for it. But at the time, I didn't know. I can write your social media posts. I can write this, that, and the third. That's what I Sell Words started out as. And so, yeah. And then expanded out. I'm like, oh, I got to do video. I got to do X, Y, and Z. I got to add all these other components on. Things that I was dabbling in for fun ended up becoming part of my business. Like, I was playing around with cameras and learning websites because it was fun for me. As soon as I integrated into my business, it ceased being fun. It ceased being a distraction or diversion for me. That's another side of it. But
yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense.
And so for a lot of people, we tell people, when you talk to somebody who's a master of what you're doing, or master at what you're trying to be or where you're trying to be, you listen to them wholeheartedly. But sometimes you do have to weigh it out. Like, okay, is what they're telling me going to benefit me? Because what she told me absolutely did not benefit me in any way, shape, or form.
Or who am I listening to?
Right.
Based on, I mean, and again, but you said that you and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say that you trusted this lady, that you that she was, she kind of not necessarily a larger than life person, but was she somebody whose words you obviously took to heart?
Mm-hmm.
So did it, you know what I'm saying? Like, was it that type of
situation?
Like, what was that?
It was somebody that I met that was in a different sector of the marketing space, that had decades of experience in their sector of the marketing space.
Okay.
And so, and then when I sat down with them, I thought that they were expert on all, just because somebody's a good doctor doesn't mean they're a good lawyer. Right. And so, I saw them as like, oh, well, they must know what they're talking about. People, they were making a lot of money. They've been doing this for a long time. People are paying them for what they know. I need to soak up as much game as possible from her. And the first thing is, I don't know. I've never met anybody that hires a copywriter before, which wasn't true, because she wasn't on the side of the side of that decision-making process. And so I saw her as an expert, and she was an expert in her field, but not an expert in what I was doing. And it was a missed, and I do go back and, a lot of stuff is hindsight 2020. It was a missed opportunity, because I should have taken that as, oh, so you don't know any copywriters? That means that I have a free lane to really establish myself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, and especially if she had no idea what you were, what it is that any of you guys doing, and she didn't know that there's a whole other world of business that you have no idea about, that again, that you don't know about it or whatever, that I can introduce you to, and this is what we do.
Yeah.
Or whatever, I mean, and even if she still didn't utilize your services, that's irrelevant. You still educated her on expanding her
horizons,
her horizon in general, her expansion, her perspective of what she's actually doing. You know what I mean? I mean, again, even with what I do, as a life coach and philosopher and avid book reader, learning different things, learning from animal species, plant species, different things like that. That shit helps me too. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to this poet and this botanist about the daffodil, and we had this great. Okay. We had this great conversation about the daffodil, and I think I read it somewhere, and I put it on my one of my pages. And she had this poem about the daffodil, and the one thing about the daffodil that it does is it's a very beautiful plant. But the one thing that the daffodil does to other plants around it is that it suffocates them and kills them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not because it wants to kill everything around it. It's just because it's a toxic plant to everything else around it. Right now, you can train it, you can condition it not to kill things off so fast, but you have to consistently keep conditioning the plant to do that. But another word for daffodil is what was it? It's another name for the daffodil is a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, that is so deep. So again, so reading about those things and meeting people who are botanists, where you can learn so many different things from people, you know what I mean? And again, I would have never known anything like that that has nothing to do with my field, but everything to do with my field.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, and it's really sad though that lady saw you and like, oh, you're a what? Man, I've never met one of them. And that you didn't have the fortitude and the forthrightfulness to take that opportunity, because that's what it was, to educate, to illuminate this lady in what it is that you actually do and how you can help.
Yeah. I went through my entire phase with that because, like I said, I didn't have enough knowledge. I assumed I deferred to the expert in my mind. I was deferring to the expert in my mind. I framed her as expert and I was deferring to her. And that's why I didn't challenge. That's why I didn't challenge it, because I didn't know. At the time, I didn't know that she was leading me astray. And so it comes back to this. So a couple weeks ago, I'm in a meeting and, this kind of in this group or whatnot. And somebody else challenges, they're talking about AI can write better than a copywriter and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Not knowing that most copywriters will use AI to kind of punch up things or say, hey, analyze this and analyze the reading level and help me restructure and stuff. Like, they use it as a tool, as part of their toolkit. And not just as something that where you just punch in the words and it generates them for you, right? Okay. And so he's like, yeah, and AI, and it was kind of a shot at me in the group, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, well, AI can write better than you, Brian's going to replace you one day. And I'm just, in the past, that would have been an argument, that would have been a fight in the group. I just sat back and I just sat back and I got this oh really look on my face, and I guess other people in the group kind of read it and they addressed it on my end, because I'm not going to sit there and fight with somebody who doesn't know. And
I do not mean to cut you off on this, but yeah. my little cousin, hello,
Fearless said hi.
Hey, Brandy. Hello, ma'am.
Brandy said hi.
Hey. So look at Brian over here getting kisses on the air. I'm just saying, like, what? So my little cousin graduated from UNL with a degree in I think with an English degree or whatever, right?
Right.
And that's what she does for a living. She writes, she does copy and this and the other, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it was last year. I think it was. We were talking about, what she does, and I'd asked her that. And again, I wasn't trying to be, facetious. I wasn't trying to be, pretentious or anything like that. I was really asking from an educational standpoint, because again, what AI is doing and is able to consistently keep developing and keep doing and this and the other is monstrously amazing every single day, every single week that it updates. So I was asking her, like, are you scared? Are you nervous that one day this thing is gonna knock you off?
Mm-hmm.
Type stuff. And she was like, yes and no. Because she said that although AI is really good at what it does, there's still that human aspect that it does not have yet.
Right.
Now, once it does, a lot of people are out of jobs for the most part. But for right now, no. But I don't have to worry about that. And I'm like, oh, okay, problem solved, question answered, done, and we move on. You see what I'm saying? And I think that sometimes that's really all a person really needs to know is that aspect. And again, she didn't take offense to it because I wasn't trying to be offensive or nothing like that. I didn't know. I don't know. Or whatever. And so I'm asking somebody who went to school for this, and she does this for a living.
Yeah.
Does that scare you?
And see, this one was different because this was actually somebody, and we peeped it. We peeped it, like a guest of the group or whatnot. I peeped it out. Like it was somebody who was trying to lift themselves up or elevate what they're trying to pitch, which is bullshit. But they're trying to lift what they were trying to pitch.
And shit on you
by putting me down. And in the past, I would have really got defensive, and that would have been an argument in the group and completely showed my ass and stuff like that. And I realized that my marketing message was strong enough that people that were in the group with me that have been in there were taking them to task on it. Like, no, that's not how that works. And so, but and that's a benefit because I'm sitting there like, that's a level of confidence I didn't have for a while. Where I'm so confident in what I know that I don't have to like how many we talk about all the time. How many climate experts do you see on Facebook arguing with people in the comment section about global warming, right? Like you don't see experts, like legitimate experts, on that level arguing with people who are just going based on what they read in an internet article on Facebook or YouTube. Like that doesn't happen frequently. And so in my mind, I'm like, I'm not even going to legitimize this because one, when it comes to AI and stuff, I am a lot deeper into understanding that technology than he was. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I understand the technology. I've written my own little tools that I use and stuff, and, program some stuff and things like that utilizing AI. Like I know how to utilize it on a level that he does. And I know that bro didn't necessarily know what he was talking about. Like I said, I'm not using names. And so that's why I'm like, I'm not going to call out X, Y, and Z, but I will say this. I knew enough from listening to what he was saying that he didn't know what he was talking about. And so the diss to me didn't necessarily feel like a diss. It felt like somebody that was trying to establish their credibility and try to sacrifice me to do it.
Okay.
And they played themselves doing it because I'm like, when I'm looking at like you position yourself as this specific kind of expert, but you can't answer basic questions about it. And
you can't answer a basic question.
One, you can't answer basic questions. Two, people go to the website that you have and it has filler text on it that lorbsome, that stuff, that the text they put on the website when they don't have, where they're like, you fill in the words here. You've seen that. That stuff was on the website that we went to.
Like, what do you mean? You talking about like that shit that doesn't really, that's not in English?
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow.
So you're telling me that you don't need a copywriter, that I'm about to get replaced. Go to the website. It still has all your filler text on it. Your business card has filler text on it. Sounds like you need somebody to write your website, bro.
Right.
And I'll do it for $5,000 plus gratuity. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm like, I was taken back, but then the group kind of got my back on it. And I'm sitting there, I go to the website. I'm like, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. And even some of the basic stuff he was talking, he didn't know what he was talking about because I've done it. I've created AI agents. You know, I have the class. I can go in and start coding stuff on Gemini right now.
What is Gemini? Oh
Google's
yeah, I know what that is. Okay, I got you.
You know, I have access to the Gemini little workstation, little workshop stuff that you can get in on the back end of it. I know how to get to that, and I know what to put in there to make things happen. So I know what I'm talking about. That was a level of confidence I didn't have before, and I wish I had that level of confidence when I got confronted with that lady in the first part of it. Because that will do. I mean, as a business owner, when somebody tells you, when somebody you see as somebody you see as an expert tells you your idea sounds bad, you take that to heart. A lot of times when you don't know to not know. So yeah. So let's go ahead and move on. Because so to shift a lot of different mindsets. I had to get rid of a lot of bad thinking. I don't know. You mentioned it too. I don't think you ever unlearn things. You don't necessarily unlearn things, but you deprioritize them in your mind, right? Like if you learn something bad, like with this lady, through practice, I learned that she didn't know what she was talking about. So I deprioritized that piece in my mind, where her knowledge or her insight, I deprioritized that in my mind. I deranked it. Does that make sense? Like I can never go back and unhear what she said to me and uninternalize it to a degree. But what I can do is say, yeah, I internalize this, but I can derank it in my mind and say, yeah, it was bullshit. Like I could put it on the bullshit pile. And so it wasn't necessarily unlearning, but my process, I realized, is my mindset shift has to be this doesn't have any credence in my mind.
Okay.
You know, and that's why, you know, when we talk about, you know, when I use the word failure, I look at it as failure is just part of the process, right? So I had to embrace that side of it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the reason why I embraced the concept of failure is because it's something I really had a difficult time and struggled with, and not beating myself up when things didn't go right.
Okay.
So I had to actually do exposure therapy and immerse myself in the concept of screwing up on something and not feeling like I complete failure. Right. And so I had to kind of gird myself with that armor and lean into it. So that's why for me, when I say failure, I use it interchangeably with error. But I understand for a lot of people that can be an absolute mind job at the beginning. But that's how I started shifting my mindset. Like, yeah, you're going to go out there and you're going to get it wrong. That's fine. Learn from it and move on. I had to teach myself that resilience. Resilience is a skill that you learn. I've realized that. You're not necessarily born with resilience. You know, you're resilient to specific things. It's not some global thing that you're just resilient to everything, right? You have to learn how to be resilient in some contexts. So I embrace failure and embrace error as a learning opportunity, as seeing it as the final boss in the defeat. Okay. I've learned how to embrace challenges instead of trying to avoid them and postpone having to face them. For me, postponing challenges look like I need to learn more. I need to know more. I don't know enough about this thing. And so when I talk to you on this platform, when Fearless and I talk to you on this platform, you know, I will tell people you're overlearning. I've told people I mentor, don't order another ebook. Don't watch another video. Don't do anything else. You know everything you need to know. Now go get started. And if you need new knowledge along the way, or if you need to review something, you can go back and review it, but don't use that as your crutch.
Okay.
You know, hey, Anya.
You said hey, Anya.
Hi, Brian.
So Fearless, what's up? Hey, so Fearless, what's your take on the overlearning trap? Because we've done a podcast about this before, but what is your take on that? Because you read a lot, you consume a lot of other people's knowledge to add it to your own. When does that cross the line of I'm just overlearning to procrastinate in terms of doing the thing because I don't want to do the thing?
When you're not doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
When you're not doing it. Like literally, like that's the one thing that that I now understand is that, man, when you're not doing it, it's simple enough. Hey, let's stop talking. When you're not doing it, that's it, man. That's it. It's. I would love to sit here and act like there's something so much. That I would love to act like there is like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Esoteric or
esoteric. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's I would love to like it's what's one of the things in philosophy what is it? Damn, there's a certain word that I'm looking for. Anyway, I would love, and the word esoteric basically means that it's only meant for a small, select few group of people, whatever. And it's really not, man. It's like I said, the three things that there's three types of people: people that have conviction, people that are complacent, and people that compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what happens is that those people that are consistently reading more and more and more and more, like I was, we're not compromised. We are still in complacency or whatever. So we were stuck. Mm-hmm. And so we need something. We need somebody to help us to transition out of that particular state onto another. It's kind of like a record player playing that same rare, right? You just gotta pick it up, reset it, and then you get to go again. Now you're gonna have to reset that damn thing again at some point, right? You may have to take it off, clean it, do something else. You may have to even go get a brand new record, and that may happen. You know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of different things that could happen, but if it's working, let it work. But the problem is that we're not doing it.
Yep.
And that's what your issue is. It's not. I mean, bro, you can read as much as you want. I got a whole here. Let me take you off of this for a second. You see this behind me, and again, I'm always telling you guys about my proudness of books. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. So as y'all can see, like that's all the. Now, you might think like, oh, that's not a lot of books, but then I have the roller behind that. And then I also have this one over here. And then again, if you look above me, you just got my wall though. There's a crap ton of books over here. So again, so when I tell you, sorry about that, man. Take my stuff out. So when I tell you guys that, like, no, man, like this, this is one of those things that, like, I've literally had to suffer through. And the biggest thing that I learned about this whole ordeal is that when people ask me, and I'll give you an example, people ask me all the time, how do you remember the books that you read? And you want to know a secret, Brian? Like, seriously, dude? Like, all bullshit to the side? I don't.
Right. That's not your memory. Functionally, your memory don't work like that.
My memory doesn't work like that. It's weird because I used to like, oh my God, I need to learn this. I need to learn this. And I would sit and try to study it and study and study and study and study. And I would write the stuff out and I would do this, I would do that. Some stuff would stay, but majority of it wouldn't stay. And what's so crazy is that I started to learn myself that it's not that the information doesn't stay with me. It's that it conjures up when I need it. If that makes any sense.
Right. And so
it's not just readily available for me because I can think of something like, oh, okay, yeah, it was kind of cool. But it's not until I'm talking to somebody else about this that everything that I read from that book will just start fucking tipping over to get out of me. And again,
so what you're saying,
go ahead.
No, go finish because this is related to that.
So what I was saying is that even my friend Naomi, I see her on there. Hey, dear. One of the things that she's reading Uncle Tom's Cabin right now, right? And so she's reading this book. I read this book, what, 6 or 7 years ago, but I still remember. Again, I'm like, hey, where you at? I'm like, oh, you about to go, you about to see some shit. Again, I remember all these little details about that book, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But again, I hadn't read that book in years. But I also know here's a fun thing about reading a lot, that when you read certain books, depending on what people talk about in those certain books, you're gonna know whether or not a person read that book or not. Do you know how many times I've talked to people about that book? Like, yeah, I read that. And I would ask them one question,
Mm-hmm.
just one. You know what that question is? I say, so towards the end of the book, there's a person. There's Sambo. You remember Sambo? Oh yeah. I remember Sambo. Cool. Who was the other guy with him? And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, it wasn't just Sambo. There was another one too. What was his name? And if you can't answer that, I already knew that you didn't read that book,
Right?
because they were they were inseparable. They went everywhere together. They terrorized they terrorized that plantation together. Okay, cool. How did Uncle Tom die? Why did he die? Like, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're
Like,
saying.
let me ask you. If a person calls you an Uncle Tom, is that a derogatory term, or is that something that you would love to be called?
He was a hero.
You know what I'm saying? And again, that's my point, though. The man was a fucking hero.
Mm-hmm.
A hero. Now, again, for the audience, go read it yourself to go figure that shit out. But I'm just telling y'all, like, to be, and again, I think that they did a hell of a number on us, because when a person's called an Uncle Tom now, they like, man, when what you call me, that's like one of the worst things to call another black man. It's like, bro, you are. And again, I used to think that for years until I actually sat down and read the book. And when I read the book, I'm like, it is an honor to be called an Uncle Tom.
Well, there's also an entire conversation about the other C word that black people use within, and there's a layer of, it's used as a self-protection to identify people that are working against the common interests. And that's what it started out as, the common interest of the collective of black folks. And they're actually doing the harm. You know, the entire conversation about what step and fetch it represents and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, God, yeah.
And so here's what I'm going to say. So going off of what Fearless was saying. Cognitively, and this is in a book I read a long time ago. So yeah, here's what it is. We manufacture our memories on the spot.
Yeah.
We're not saying that the thing that you remember did not happen. It did. But you manufacture it every single time that you remember it.
Every time you remember it, you conjure it up, you create it, you piece it together right then and there.
And every time you recreate a memory, it can be subject to being polluted by other things that you've experienced. So I'll tell you, like when my mom died, my wife remembers. I have gaps in my memory, and I realize that I have huge gaps, entire weeks that just don't exist anymore. Entire things that were supposed to be signature events, or that I should remember that I don't. And a lot of it was just kind of a traumatic thing, but I would be sitting there telling a story about it, and she's like, "Nope, that's not what happened." And it came down to the fact that, I did have gaps in my memory, and so I was recreating that memory on the spot. That's also why, the concept of the eyewitness testimony. There's two hills that I will die on when I talk to people about criminal justice, right? One, the fact that scared straight programs have been debunked for 40 years. And one of the fastest ways to ensure that your kid goes to jail is to introduce them to jail at a young age.
Yeah.
That's what scared straight programs do. And so they're not scared in the sense that an adult would be scared. They're in awe. Not scared, but they're in awe of the people that they meet. That's one. Another one is the fact that eyewitness testimony has been debunked for 30 years.
You want to explain that a little bit, please?
So, cognitive science has debunked the concept of the eyewitness testimony many times over. for 30 years, because since we manufacture memory on the spot, we are very susceptible to suggestions of things that happened. So when eyewitnesses give their eyewitness statements, they're very open, because they're kind of in a vulnerable state and they feel like they're trying to help and they want to help. They're very vulnerable to persuasion by whoever's interviewing them. And so eyewitness testimony has actually misidentified more people than it's actually positively identified. They found out, but it hasn't stopped it from being the key thing that they use in court and stuff like that. But it's been debunked many, many, many times over. Science has debunked it consistently, because we manufacture memory on the spot, and you can easily pollute somebody's memory. You can. There's an entire study of this lady who ends up convincing a test group of people that they committed a crime that they didn't commit.
Right.
Just by the way that she interviewed them. So that's what that is.
No, and I get that. So yeah, I wanted to kind of show this little thing or whatever. This little thing here or whatever is something that we talked about during our 101 episodes of Axe Fearless or whatever. But one of this right here is it's a head of that explains exactly how the mind works when it pertains to how we take in external events. So something outside of you happens, right? Bam, it's just an event. It's just something that happens. It's an event, it's information, but it's external, which means it has nothing to do with you for the most part. Right. As you see this, all this stuff happens within a blink of an eye, right? We do three things. We generalize, distort, and delete information. Why? Because your mind cannot handle all of the information coming in at one time. Now, here's the thing that what we started to now understand is that children with autism have a larger space of accepting those deletions, distortions, and generalizations. Their minds are a lot more open and they take in way more information than people that are not necessarily neurodivergent do.
Yeah.
Right. So again, one of the things that Brian just said that his wife had to remind him of the of time and space. Well, if you look on here on this chart, one of the first things is what? Time and space. Now, time is going to be different. Time, space is going to be different. As you are reconstructing what happened, you're taking your memories, you're taking your trials, you're taking your decisions, your attitudes, your beliefs, your values. You're putting all these different things, and then you put them in these things called beamers, which is basic behavioral manifestations of internal representations. But it basically means that however you are going to react behaviorally is already predetermined by the shit that you already hold up in here.
Right.
So by the time it comes out here, it done already went through all this stuff back here. Right. So how do we prevent ourselves from doing this over and over and over and over? Well, number one, if you look down at the last one, which is what? Your values and beliefs, your attitudes, your decisions, all those are right there before it becomes an internal representation. All that's sitting right there. And it happens immediately because the way that you feel about things, the way you experience things happen for you immediately. So if you want to change that shit, that means you have sometimes I'll tell you like this. One of the things that I love, one of the reasons why I love philosophy so much, and it saved my life, is that you have to role play sometimes the worst possible things happening to you. You have to learn to break that cycle when it happens. You have to interrupt it. Just like a record player, you would interrupt it. You have to interrupt as soon as you start talking because your language gives everything its life. Once you start putting words to shit and you start putting meaning, this means this and that means that, it's fucking over after that. It's over. So that's what we have to do. We have to understand that we distort, generalize, and delete information. What information are you deleting from that event that you saw? Number one, is it personal? We know for a fact that the shit that happens, we know that hurt people hurt people. What does that mean? That they want to see me in pain, and that's what makes them feel good. It makes them feel good to see me hurt. So if I do this, if I give them what they want, then this is going to make them feel amazing. So you still have the choice. You still have the decision to walk the fuck away.
Right.
Or you have the decision to send them directly to their fucking maker. I mean, but again, the choice is yours. So again, I totally understand exactly, what you're talking about, what you're saying. Like me personally, like I said, like we were talking about before, how do we go from reading all this stuff? How do we go from experiencing all this stuff to just doing it? Like where does reading all these books come to a point where you have to stop reading and start doing it?
Yeah.
And that's literally going from compromising to complacency to conviction and just going out and just doing it. And that's what I didn't do. And once I really started, and once I just said, fuck it, let's go, man, oh my God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like it becomes very easy. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, when you're in implementation season, life looks a little bit different. And then
It does.
You figure out where the log jams and bottlenecks happen as you move forward, but you have forward momentum.
Trial and error is all it is.
A lot of times it's getting that forward momentum up and running. And that's being transparent. That's the hardest part, is figuring out how to get your momentum rolling.
That's it. And the one thing that I teach people in general, is that there has to be a state of discipline. Discipline is doing that thing that you do not want to do, but you do it anyway because it has to get done. Well, and that is that transitional point from understanding where we are in that journey, period.
Well, and 2 points here. So, and this is just kind of I'll throw in the word philosophical take on things for me.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Existentialism. That's what I was looking for. Existentialism. Go ahead though.
So I realized, I just said, momentum is one of the hardest things to build. Understand that everything you encounter in your life is trying to, no matter what you're doing, right? Even
repeat that one more time because you cut out.
Everything you encounter in your life is trying to rob you of your momentum, no matter what you're doing.
Okay.
And I'll look at it like this. I'll break it down to you. So even when you get in your car, right? Your car's natural state is sitting with the engine not running, sitting in one place. You turn on the car, you start the engine, you have a limited amount of gas, your tires can only go so many miles, your brake system can only handle so many brakes, like your engine can only handle so many miles. Everything in that car is working to stop you from going forward every time you turn it on. But you go forward regardless. Something breaks on your car, you get it fixed. If you run out of gas, you get gas and fill it up. If you need new tires, you get new tires, because you do the things that keep the momentum going. But everything is meant to stop your momentum. The idea
I love the concept. Number one, I love the concept. Drive it home a little deeper for me though.
Okay, well, and that's where I'm going. So
okay, please
look at it like this. When I say that, the challenge is generating and keeping the momentum going, because there's so many different things that can stop you. But once you get used to operating with momentum, it's easier to keep that momentum. It's easier for you to combat those outside forces, right? You get more aerodynamic, right? Okay. You're able to cut through the wind and cut through the air friction that's meant to slow you down a lot better, because you're able to move in a more aerodynamic way. Okay. I view everything in your life is trying to stop you from attaining the thing that you want to attain. And the secret is finding the way that make it easier for you to navigate around that. Okay. Everything is filtering down to a bottleneck or a sticking point. You just got to have the skills to move around it. You know, even look at it like this. If you're traveling in a vehicle that's fast enough, you know the thing that's trying to stop you? The wind is physically trying to stop you. Wind friction, wind resistance is giving you resistance to keep you from moving forward. You have to burn energy to keep going forward. And so when I start viewing everything as anything outside of moving forward as adversarial to what I want to do, it kind of changes the way I perceive life.
Gotcha.
If that, hopefully that made sense. But I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yeah, I'm in that season where I'm like, I just go forward with everything right now. Like right now, if I have an idea and I think the idea works, if I'm about 40% sure the idea could work, I just roll with it and see where it goes. Because the place where you're most happy, even human beings, we are most happy taking the path of least resistance and not moving. That's where we conserve energy, right? We conserve energy by not doing anything. That's why we're programmed to take the path of least resistance. We want to find the easiest way to get the thing done so that we can get back to our natural state of not doing anything. Gotcha. And so that's why the people that actually go out and achieve things are the outliers.
Right, but those are the people that have the conviction.
Yeah,
those are the people that keep going no matter what. Like, yeah, no, that's it. And that's why I was telling you that there's those three types of people. That there's the people with conviction, there's the people who are complacent, and then there's the people that compromise. You know what I'm saying? The people that compromise, man, you can tell these people any fucking thing, and guess what? They ain't gonna do nothing else other than what they doing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then the people that are complacent are just stuck, just living the rigmarole of life within itself. But then there's those other people that for some reason they ain't got to stop in them. Right. Or for some reason they just keep going regardless of what you say. You know what I'm saying? And we try to stop these people at every point. And then when they end up making it, oh man, I knew you was in there, man. I knew it was for you. It's like, no, you didn't. You were one of the preventers who tried to stop me.
Yeah. Life is always trying to stop you because our natural state, our natural homeostasis, homostasis or whatever, our natural way of being is conserving energy and inaction and utilizing energy only when we have to. The people that are driven to use that energy when they don't have to go pursue greater things are the people that move through life and attain or achieve a little bit more. Even if they fail along the way, they still will attain more than somebody who's just, going with the flow.
Waiting for shit. And another thing about complacency is you're waiting for something to happen outside of you to let you know that it's time to go work.
Yeah.
As opposed to something, instead of being you at that point, it's the difference between being the thermostat versus a thermometer. At that point, like the thermometer would technically be the person who's complacent, because however everything else is going to be, that's how I'm going to be. But the thermostat, on the other hand, sets the stage for everything else to sit on.
Well, and the phrase of the day is locus of control, right?
Yeah, okay, locus. I know that.
The locus.
Yeah. Go ahead, give me that.
So locus of control is an individual's belief about the extent to which they can control events in their life. And when you completely externalize your locus of control, you are saying that the world just determines everything about your life, and you have no autonomy and no ability to change anything.
So like yourself. More like life is nihilism.
Yeah.
At that point, it's nihilistic. Nihilistic means that there is no justification. It's just everything's just random. There is no meaning for anything.
You blame every external force for the outcomes of your circumstances.
Right.
And sometimes, here's the thing, like sometimes the tornado does blow your house down and you ain't got no control over that. That's something, and it can absolutely upend your life.
But it's not personal.
It's not a personal.
It's not a personal thing.
The tornado didn't single you out to screw up your life. You just have to be in the way. And a lot of times people have this external locus of control where they think that all these factors outside of them is the only thing that's stopping them. Yes, in this world, we deal with sexism, we deal with racism, we deal with all the isms, right? And people have to learn how to navigate around them all the time. People who grew up in
poverty, not even around them, through them.
People who grew up in poverty have to unlearn the lessons that poverty taught them while embracing some of the things that poverty taught them so that they can be successful, right? Like everybody has factors that influence their lives. How much power are you going to give to those factors outside of yourself is the question. And sometimes people get in this thing where they think it's always something outside that's preventing them from doing the thing that they want to do. Well, if I'm waiting for this thing to happen. I'm waiting for this person to say this. I'm waiting for that person to do X, Y, and Z. I'm waiting for this thing to happen. I'm waiting for the government to say this. I'm waiting for this, that, and the third, right? What can you change today?
Yeah.
What difference can you make today? What can you impact today? And so that's the concept of locus control. People who have internal locus control try to make things happen because they believe that they have the ability to shape things in the way they want to shape them. Now they understand it's not delusion. They don't think they control things they don't think they can control things that they have no control over. They can't control the weather, but they can prepare for the tornado when it comes. They can get down to the basement. They can have house insurance to make sure that they can rebuild their house. Those things are internal that they have control over. Those people that completely externalize their locus of control blame external forces for their circumstances. And that's it. That's as deep as it goes.
Right.
There's no accountability for outcomes. I always say that. Go ahead.
It's one of the things too that I thought about as you were discussing that is that, the pursuit of happiness, the Chris Gardner story. I remember when I read the book years ago, and I don't think it talked about it in the movie by no means. There was actually a lot of stuff that happened to that dude that was just weird in general. But anyway, one of the things that he had talked about was in the book, not in the movie, was all of the racist jokes and all the racist stuff that he would hear on a consistent basis, because he understood that the only way that he was going to be able to make sales is if he was calling people, because for some reason, people weren't buying from him when they saw who he was. So therefore, the only way he could get them to sign on with him is through the phone. So he would call them and do this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But there was one client that he had was worth millions, plural. And this dude, he's been with him for years. And every time he'd want to come in, he's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry, bro. I can't make it. I have this meeting and this, that, and whatever. So anyway, so one day he actually finally shows up to the office. And Chris walks in and he sits down with him. And the guy's like, oh, my God, you've been black the whole entire time. I've been saying the N-word, saying all kind of racist shit, and you sat there and endured it. So when the guy passed on or whatever, Chris gave himself a very healthy raise because of all the shit that he had to endure dealing with him. And again, this is also talking about, when you're talking about you're going to have to go around it sometimes. No. Sometimes it's going to be a part of your journey. It's going to be a part of that thing that you have to go through. It's the whole civil rights movement. People now get to kick their feet up on the backs of what people actually went through, going through that shit, and then to come here and shit all over black people that are already here. It's like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, man. You guys pull yourselves up. Like, dude, you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for my grandmother and grandfather and great grandmother and so on and so forth. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the Jewish community, especially the lawyers in New York. All these books that I read, this is why I read them, because I love a different perspective. They were barred and banned from practicing a lot of these laws like damn near everywhere, but especially in New York. So
Mm-hmm.
what they did was they were like, all right, well, we'll just take the shit that nobody else would take, which was tort law. Tort is the wrongful act or infringement of a right of another person under a contract leading to civil legal liability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's basically what a lot of the Jewish lawyers in New York had to be faced with. So nobody else would want these torts, so they would send them to the Jewish community to do it. Right, like give it to them, give it to them.
Yeah.
Where it got to the point where they got so good at it that they became experts at tort law to the point that when these major uh, law firms needed help with understanding tort, nobody can mess with these Jewish lawyers at all because that's all they've been doing. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody knew the law better than they did. So then when it came time for these other companies to actually pay these guys for what they knew, these guys cracked their asses when it came to pricing it out because nobody was better than them when it came to that. So again, it's funny to me how sometimes we sit there, and again, this is what I'm talking about. We can compromise and say, you know what, they're not going to give me my fair shot. They're not going to do this for me. They're barricading the doors. You can be complacent and just say, hey man, this is just the way it is. I mean, man, I don't know. I mean, I just cut tell and go home. Or the third thing is show that conviction and just keep going no matter what. Whether they show up or not, we're still here. We still got a job to do. And
Mm-hmm.
because they showed up every day and they were conviction. They were convinced that they knew what they were talking about. It paid off in the long run. So, and I think that that's one of the biggest problems. Again, like I said, with us is that we lack that conviction. But here's the thing, real fast. This is also what we're paying for too.
Yeah.
This is not a part. This is not an epidemic. This is a pandemic of epic proportion that is orchestrated because our government does not like it. And I'm gonna say this again. Matter of fact, if you think I'm bullshitting, look at what they teach our kids. They don't want you to think. They, which means another part of us, don't want our kids thinking about stuff. Hell, they don't want you thinking about stuff. They love it when people give up on their dreams. Our government loves it when people give up on their goals and aspirations. They love it when we get online and watch the beautiful, successful, made up fucking lives of other people. They love it when we get on there. They love it when these motherfuckers are going to jail for all kinds of sorts of shit,
Mm-hmm.
trying to live up to this so-called American dream that these motherfuckers sold us that does not exist. Like, we love that. Our government loves that. They love it when you have a dream that's so big and it's deferred. They love
Yeah.
that. Think about what they teach our kids. Keep your hand up, ask for help, wait your turn, shut the fuck up, go wait in that line. What do you mean? What? No, you're fine. You don't need to know about that. That's above your pay grade. Do this the way that I taught you to do it. What do you mean you know how to do it better? I didn't ask you if you knew how to do it better. You need to do it the way that I'm showing you how to do it. So we're not educating anybody. We're indoctrinating them. And because of that, we're indoctrinating ourselves by not stepping up to the fucking plate to live the best truth that we possibly can. And that's the reason why I said before, and I've said it again and again and again, that until we get to a point, which is where I'm at right now, I'm convinced of my conviction to keep going, no matter what that looks like. I'm good at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I love to fucking read. And there was a person who said, and I'll stop here and I'll let you go, my guy. He said, you know what your purpose is when what comes easy for you It's hard for other people. I'll say that again. You know your purpose. It's what comes easy for you and hard for somebody else. Helping people to kind of get from that one transitional period to kind of understanding where you are and then moving from there. That is what I do. But I am only able to do that because of the books that I read. That's it. There's no college degree that could teach you how to do what I do. Not one. I mean that at least I don't think so.
And for me, the challenge has always been I have a lot of different things that I'm actually good at. Is figuring out which one I want to lean into. That's been a challenge for me. And Fearless could tell you, I know a lot about a lot of different things. It's locking in on the one thing that I want it to be. Because here's the thing. If I had my own way, if I had my druthers, if I had my druthers about me, which is that made me like an eight. That's like something an 80 would say. If I had my druthers, I would be getting paid for talking about comic books and politics.
Okay.
That would be the dream life. That would be the dream outcome. I would be taking gigs here and there writing for Marvel Comics. And so I'm trying to actually build that life on the side. Because I'm like, that's what I would love to do. I would love to be able to write comic books and talk about comic books and talk about political things in comic books, because people don't understand the comic book medium is highly political. Stan Lee had some very, very strong opinions about racism and integration and stuff like that. And he made sure that it was in his books. He's the one that broke the comics code by talking about heroin in his comic book, and he bucked the comics code and challenged them to come arrest him. So he was talking about these social political issues, and that's always been his thing. And so I would be talking openly about that. And, I had a life where I was doing that. I had to actually go find work, find things that actually paid the bills in the meantime. I do have a couple of those things now, and so I want to go back into that side of things. I want to talk about black comic books and black comic book characters and parenting as a black father and all kinds of other stuff. That's the life I want. And so I'm building that in the side. I think there is no book that's going to teach me how to do that.
No.
Only thing I'm going to have, the thing that's going to teach me is the experience I have building platforms and doing it. I also am driven to teach people how to market themselves, regardless of what that looks like, whether it's what we're doing right now, me and Fearless are doing right now, or if you just need assistance writing stuff and you need a template, I have those available, and I want to create that lifestyle, the DIY marketing agency, a marketing agency that sells the tools that you need to get started, and provides coaching around the fringes of the stuff that you actually need guidance on. That's the life I want to build. That's what I'm building. That's what I'm driven to build. There ain't no book that's going to teach me how to do that. It's going to be a combination of things I've learned, combination of things I've read, combination of things I watched, and combination of things I've done. But none of this shit moves. None of it moves. None of it moves without the doing part.
None of it. None of it. And that's the thing though, man. You have to move. You gotta do something, man.
That's the lesson.
You have to do something. And again, I don't give a shit what it is, bro. Just do something. It can be wrong as fuck. Just do something. Get out there, man. Yeah, make something happen. I don't give a fuck what it is. And again, like I tell people, man, we're here to help or whatever. Listen, I mean, when we're on here, you're more than welcome to ask whatever questions that you want. My coaching, I charge. Like I charge for everything now. But when we're on here, it's free. Like, jump on and ask whatever that you ask whatever you want or whatever. I mean, that's cool stuff or whatever. I don't mind it. I'm sure that
see, Q&A. Do the thing. Ask the question.
Throw it out there, man. I'm more than okay with it. I'm more than cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, please, like, yeah, this is what we're here for. This is literally what trial and error is for. And that's actually one of the things that kind of got me started myself in this whole thing is it's man, this trial and error. See what happens, see what doesn't. And the one thing that I noticed is that just doing it is so much easier than thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Just doing it, just showing up and doing the work is so much easier than just talking about doing it. Talking about it and thinking about it was harder than just doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the thing I absolutely love about social media. That's the thing I love about stepping up to the plate and just doing your thing. Just walk in and say whatever needs to be said, do whatever needs to be done, and just be done with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people you spend so much time in that analysis thing that you never move forward. You get comfortable. We've talked about it. You get comfortable in the learning side of things. It's real comfortable to learn about a thing and never actually go out and do it. And that season for me is over. I'm doing things now.
Good. Congrats.
I'm consuming less ebooks and stuff like that. I went out and built my Gumroad site. I'm actually moving on with the projects and doing more targeted videos for the stuff I want to put out there. Because you can absolutely lock yourself into this thing where you never get started, never initiate, never get started on anything. And you feel, like I said, there's never been somebody who's been an expert off of just reading a book or just watching a video.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some application on it. Otherwise, it's just hypothetical until you apply it, until you learn the applied knowledge. And that was when I was doing training. That was the second piece of training when I was helping people training in the group home. Once you got out of training, now is the time to go learn how to do the job. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Fearless, what do you got coming up, man?
Right now, man, I'm reading Leonardo's Gulag by Kevin Doherty. So right now, man, I'm kind of just doing my my book thing or whatever. This is really kind of cool. It's a book about hold on, a journey into a sinister heart of Stalin's regime of terror, where paranoia reigns and no one is safe. And basically, what the book is about is the USSR during the 1950s, excuse me, Russia during the 1950s started scrounging up and rounding up a bunch of artists just so they could start plagiarizing and copying Leonardo da Vinci's work so they could sell it for money. And so you have a bunch of people who are amazing artists, and that's what they do. And so I've just kind of started reading it, and so far so good. And it brought up the question, again, me being the philosopher that I am, it brought up the question of, if you knew that what you're good at, if you knew that your gift would be exploited for somebody else's gain, how fast would you be to tell people about your gift?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that, right? Today's time, everybody wants to tell you exactly what it is that they do, who they do it for, why they do it, and all that other stuff.
Right.
But if your gift was exploited for somebody else's pleasure, how fast would you be willing to tell people what you did?
That's a good question.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how fast would you tell people what you do? If your passion, if your purpose, if your thing, if that thing that you're amazing at gets people killed, if it deceives other people, all I'm saying is, how fast would you be willing to go out there and go tell people and spread the amazing news about your gift?
Right. Wow.
See what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That's why I read shit like this, bro. And this is just a novel.
Okay.
It's not even a real fucking. It's not a nonfiction. Excuse me. It's not a. It's not a historical fiction. I mean, fucking maybe it might be a historical fiction. I don't know, but it's just a regular novel, right?
Right.
I'm saying, man, the stuff that I love to read, bro, is like really. Some of it is like very thought provoking. Very, very thought provoking. I read this other book called Broken Country. This one right here. I read this book here called Broken Country, y'all. This thing, I started and stopped it on the same day, which means I read it in one day. I gave this book a 4.7 out of 5.
Okay.
I don't give books 4.7 out of 5s unless they are, I mean, absolutely amazing. And it's set in, I think it's set in like England. And the premise of the book is a woman has this high school crush. He goes on to college, and she ends up getting pregnant, and then goes back home. This other guy basically raises the child, but the other dude doesn't know that she was even pregnant in the first place. She marries this guy. They have a child. The child dies. The dude eventually comes back home with the child of his own on the verge of divorce, and now they live right next to each other. And I mean, this is kind of like the love of her life type dude. And it goes into talk about um it goes into talks about what's the word, adultery,
Yeah.
and forgiveness, and life and death. And it was such an amazing book. Oh my god.
Okay.
I mean, just great. This book right here, the one that my son bought me this for Father's Day. And hey, baby. And I read this because I told him, I said, you know what, son, you bought it for me. I will read it. I read it again in one day. I gave this one a 4.1 out of 5.
Okay.
And this book is about the ethics and morality of what we call meat. There was something that happened, and um, the animal industry goes down. There's something that happened with animals where you can't eat them anymore. There's something in their meat, something like that is poisonous, or at least that's what authority tells us, that it's
Okay.
poisonous. So then they started eating people, and then they started farming people, but they weren't calling them people. They were calling them special meat. If you see what I'm
That
saying.
makes sense.
Yeah, because you're not gonna call it Carl and then smash Carl in the back of the fucking head with a hammer and then eat him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to dehumanize certain things. And there was one within the month. Oh yeah, I remember that one. So I'm trying to. They was calling a person's like junk. Um. Yeah. So he was talking about this other guy. He's only interested in edible humans. Had the product. He's not interested in its people. It was pretty crazy. Um, he's not interested in this, and he's not interested in his people. He hates saying hello to people, making small talk about the hot and cold weather, having to listen to their problems, learn their names, keep track of who's on leave and who's had a child. This book is very interesting, but it was also talking about here we go. In some cases, seniors' own family members authorize a private or state-owned nursing home to sell their bodies and use the proceeds to pay off any debt. There are no funeral homes. It's very difficult to ensure that a person's body isn't disinherited and eaten. That's why many of the cemeteries were sold and others were abandoned. So, like again, and I've always talked about, but here's the crazy thing, though, right? Owning slaves is prohibited.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't own people that have sex and then produce your own food. But you can still be rich as shit and do horrible things to people though. But then, like, depending on the law that you break, it says today I'm the butcher, tomorrow I'm the cattle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, so it's crazy as shit. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So they have it broken up in like upper extremities, and then lower extremities. So upper extremities, strategically avoiding the word hand, so they don't say hand or foot or whatever. Then she packaged feet, which were displayed on a bed of lettuce with the label lower extremity, and later on a platter of tongues, penises, noses, testicles, and a sign that said spinal delicacies. So it's today's spinal. That was her name. Her name is Spanel.
Mm-hmm.
Today's Spanel sells what is that brochets brochets of made brochettes made of ears and fingers, which she calls mixed. I don't know what that word is, brochettes. She sells an eyeball. Oh, she also sells eyeball liquor and tongue something like vinaigrette type thing. So again, this is all based on humans.
Okay.
So Tender is the Flesh is a book about cannibalism and what happens when or if the government says to you, hey, um I don't know what to tell you, but we have to start eating people now. But I mean, there's some people that just weren't eating human beings at all whatsoever, and they just started, just became vegetarians for the most part because they didn't believe that that euthanizing humans. And oh, another thing they would do is they would take out their voice box when they were young, so they couldn't yell or scream or nothing like that. And then they would also brand their foreheads.
Okay.
I mean, so like, I'm just saying, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I read again. I didn't pick that book. My son and his mom did. I thank them very much. They found this book at Walmart too.
Okay. I've seen. Okay, so I know there's in this anime that, or now it's a manga, but Hunter Hunter that has some similar themes in that
What
regarding
is it called?
Hunter X Hunter.
Hunter, huh?
Yeah, and the author always goes into.
Brochette.
I
Sorry.
mean, the author always goes into the guy who writes it always goes into the darker side of human nature, and he ties a lot of psychology and stuff and philosophy into it, and addresses it in the book. And so every character has really complex motivations,
Mhm.
and they let those motivations be known, but it is not afraid to do horrible things to people. And there's an entire chapter about a kingdom that is based upon that, where everybody that is under a certain status is called meat, and anything can happen to meat.
Yeah,
And to the
meat
and
doesn't
well,
exist.
and to the point where the royals, even depending on what the hierarchy of the royals are, they are susceptible to being labeled as that as well. So it
As
goes.
meat, yes.
So there's a whole chapter, and when I say a whole chapter, we're talking about years of books, because when you talk about chapters of a manga, there's years of writings that go into that. And so it's arc that's going on. And so I
Oh
think it's
wow,
called
okay.
I think it's the Succession War arc. I think the Succession War is still going. Anyway, Hunter x Hunter has done that, and I think that was, let me see, that was done. He wrote that a couple of years ago. So anyway,
It's called Hunter.
yeah, Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
Anyway, and it's one of those shows that people joke about, like, hey, I thought this was for kids until I saw somebody get until I saw somebody get gunned down and devoured.
You know what's so funny? At the bookstore, man, I think we had something like that too, and that we kept it over in the kids section under manga, because we had a whole manga section.
Yeah.
There, and I was like, the lady brought it over. She's like, "Sir, you cannot keep this in the kids area."
No,
and it looked like a regular kid book. I'm like, why?
I'm dropping out.
And she broke it down, dude.
I'm gonna drop out. I'm putting it in the private chat so you can see exactly how it's stylized, because it's called Hunter x Hunter, but it's stylized a different way. Anyway, I think that might be one that you might actually get into, just because of a lot of the themes it tackles across the board. Like I said, it starts out as a fun kid story, and then somebody gets gunned down and devoured, and then somebody else gets their heart ripped out. So it is what it is.
So are these like pictures, or like do they show it all that too?
Yes,
or?
It's a Japanese comic book. Plus, it has animated.
And you read it from the right to left, right?
Yep. Gotcha. It's a Japanese comic book. Plus, it has an animated series that's attached to it. But I don't think the anime is ever going to catch up to the written book, just because of the age of the guy who's writing it. It may not ever happen.
Okay.
Because the book is so far ahead of where the anime is, it may never catch up. We'll see though. Like right now, I think one that may never ever I think One Piece is about to catch up. One Piece might be relatively caught up, but One Piece has been getting written for almost like 40 years consistently. 20 years of consistent shows. So they're on like they're on like volume 1200, like issue 1200 of it. So anyway, that is what it is. So guys, what I got working is I really want to teach you guys how to do your own marketing. The DIY marketing agency is called the Unstuck Marketing Agency. I can teach you live streaming. I could teach you how to set up your own camera, start recording your own content, but also I have templates, teach you how to write and compose your words for selling, for email, for newsletters, for the whole nine. I'm always adding stuff to my Gumroad site. And so I've been working on that. I have the finished products are available, but I have a bunch that are in development. And so I'm going to go ahead and drop my Gumroad in here. Gumroad is a website where you can basically buy digital products or whatnot. And so
drop that bitch.
So that's what I got going.
Drop that Gumroad.
So that's what I got, guys. If you want to reach out to me, I ain't hard to find. Leave a comment or shoot me an email or hit me in the inbox or whatever platform you're watching this on. And we can sit down and set up a time and talk.
Yeah, and if you want to hit me up, just go to Ask Fearless at Google, or excuse me, Ask Fearless at Gmail. Just as you can see, just Ask Fearless Gmail. Matter of fact, I don't even think I have it created yet, but I'll create that shit in the next 15, 20 minutes.
Yep. So, and that's my email, mail@isellwords.net. If you're interested in getting on your own marketing or even launching your own marketing agency, I can give you the framework and tools to get started. So anyway, that's all I got. We'll get to you guys next week. All right. I'm Brian.
Fearless.
We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.